It was the dawn of the new millennium, and the digital world was catching fire with images of something monstrous, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The headlines were apocalyptic. A floating continent of trash, 80,000 metric tons of plastic swirling in a forgotten corner of the Pacific. It was the largest single accumulation of ocean litter in the world, an ecological disaster twice the size of Texas, 3 times the size of France, a plastic scar so vast it was allegedly visible from space. These dystopian photographs, often later revealed to be misleading composites or images from heavily polluted harbors in Southeast Asia, nevertheless ignited a global firestorm of public outrage. Overnight, plastic became the arch-villain in our environmental narrative. It was the serpent in our garden, a synthetic poison destroying pristine ecosystems, strangling sea turtles, and insidiously working its way into our very bloodstreams. The righteous call to action was simple and absolute. We had to get rid of it. All of it. But what if that righteous crusade was based on a profound misunderstanding? What if those panic-inducing images, while highlighting a real problem, obscured a more complex and inconvenient truth? And what if the seemingly noble quest to eradicate plastic would, in fact, trigger the collapse of modern society as we know it? To understand how we were so misled, we must first confront the architecture of the modern information age. We exist in a perpetual digital storm, bombarded by thousands of pieces of content, headlines, infographics, viral clips, all locked in a zero-sum battle for our attention. In this relentless arena, nuance is a liability, and accuracy is secondary. Emotion is the victor. A single, shocking image, regardless of its context, can propagate across the globe like a virus, while a detailed, multifaceted explanation struggles to make a ripple. The internet's algorithms favor simplicity over subtlety, outrage over understanding. In a world where attention has become the ultimate currency, the most dramatic, emotionally charged, and often oversimplified version of a story is the one that achieves escape velocity. The true story began not with a photograph, but with a sailor. In 1997, Captain Charles Moore was navigating his catamaran from Hawaii to California when he sailed into a realm that defied description. For days on end, he was surrounded by a persistent, ghostly confetti of plastic debris, bottle caps, toothbrushes, lighters, and countless tiny, unidentifiable fragments. It was not a solid island, not a patch in the conventional sense. It wasn't a mountain of trash, it wasn't a field of trash, Moore would later clarify. Instead, he described the ocean as a murky, plastic-infused soup, a, quote, ghastly thin gruel, spread out over an area so immense that it could never be captured in a single, frameable image. And that is the crux of the problem. A definitive, all-encompassing photograph of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch does not exist. The plastic is too diffuse, too spread out, and much of it, the microplastics, is too small, creating a kind of synthetic smog in the water column that evades satellites, drones, and Google Earth. But the fact that the viral images were misleading does not diminish the reality of the crisis. What Captain Moore discovered was not a static floating landfill. It was something far more insidious. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a churning vortex of our own creation, an inescapable maelstrom formed by a massive system of rotating ocean currents known as the North Pacific Subtropical Gyre. This colossal, slow-moving whirlpool acts as an oceanic trap, pulling in debris from the coasts of Asia and North America. It is not one patch, but two, an eastern patch near California and a western one near Japan, connected by a 6,000-mile-long current. Within this gyre, plastic doesn't just float, it is relentlessly broken down by sun and surf into ever smaller microplastics, which are then ingested by marine life, catastrophically entering the food web. While consumer waste is a significant contributor, research reveals a more concentrated culprit. An estimated 75 to 86% of the plastic in the patch originates from offshore fishing activities, including ghost nets, crates, and ropes. It is a dynamic, growing beast. A 2021 study projected its expansion at 2.5% per year, a conservative estimate for a problem that intensifies with every container that falls off a ship and every bottle that washes into a river. So yes, the problem is real and staggering. But just like the viral images, its cause has been dangerously oversimplified. The common belief is that this plastic exists simply because individuals are too lazy to sort their recycling. The truth is far more damning. According to a landmark 2017 study, only 9% of all plastic ever produced has been recycled. The rest, 91% of it, has been incinerated, piled up in landfills, or lost to the natural environment. When plastic was born, it was a model of simplicity. Bakelite, the first fully synthetic plastic, was invented in 1907 as a miraculous substitute for finite natural resources like ivory, shellac, and wood. It was a singular, robust material, durable, heat-resistant, and non-conductive, primarily used for radios and electrical components. It was a breakthrough, but the revolution came with World War II. The war effort demanded materials that were light, strong, and mass-producible, and plastics like nylon for parachutes and polyethylene for insulating radar cables became indispensable. After the war, industry, flush with new polymer chemistry, pivoted this capacity toward the consumer market. Plastic exploded into every facet of life: packaging, textiles, construction, and, most critically, medicine. But as industrial applications grew more sophisticated, so did the chemistry. The demand for plastics that were cheaper, lighter, and more versatile led to a proliferation of different polymers: polyethylene, polypropylene, polyvinyl chloride, PVC, polystyrene. Each possessed unique properties. Plastic was no longer one thing. It was a vast and complex family of hundreds of distinct materials. This complexity created a monumental problem when the recycling movement gained momentum in the 1980s. How can you possibly recycle a material that exists in so many incompatible forms? The solution was the resin identification code system, the numbers 1 through 7 encased in chasing arrows. This system was not a guarantee of recyclability. It was merely a tool for sorting, and in that sorting, the limitations of our system were laid bare. A number 1 PET water bottle, relatively easy to recycle. A number 6 polystyrene styrofoam container, almost impossible. There are two primary methods of recycling: mechanical and chemical. Mechanical recycling is what we imagine. Plastics are sorted, cleaned, melted, and reformed into pellets to create new products. But the process is fragile and expensive. A single PVC item mixed into a batch of PET can ruin the entire melt. A smudge of food residue can contaminate thousands of pounds of material. This is why only the cleanest and most homogeneous plastics, primarily numbers 1 and 2, are recycled with any regularity. The rest are destined for the landfill. Chemical recycling, which uses heat and chemical processes to break plastics back down to their original molecular building blocks, holds more promise but remains technologically immature and prohibitively expensive for widespread use. Faced with these failures, the desire to abolish plastic entirely is understandable. Yet, waking up in a world without it would not be a utopian dream but a dystopian nightmare. Imagine your morning. The sterile packaging that keeps your contact lenses safe is gone. The toothbrush bristles, the shampoo bottle, the liner in your coffee cup, all vanished. Step outside and modern transportation is crippled. Cars, stripped of their plastic bumpers, dashboards, fuel lines, and lightweight paneling, would be heavier, guzzling more fuel. Airplanes, reliant on advanced polymer composites for their fuselages and wings to achieve fuel efficiency, would be grounded. Need life-saving surgery? Impossible. The sterile, single-use world of modern medicine is built on plastic. IV bags and tubing, syringes, heart monitors, sterile gloves, artificial joints, and the intricate packaging that protects every instrument from contamination. Without it, hospitals would revert to a pre-20th century state, where infection was a primary cause of death. Our food supply would collapse. Plastic packaging is a marvel of material science, protecting food from spoilage and extending its shelf life, preventing millions of tons of food waste annually. Without it, global supply chains would break, and famine would become a real and present danger. Even the environment would suffer. Durable, non-corrosive plastic pipes are essential for modern water and sanitation systems. Plastic insulation makes our buildings vastly more energy efficient. Lighter plastic in vehicles directly reduces carbon emissions, Without plastic, we don't just sacrifice convenience, we sacrifice efficiency, safety, and a surprising degree of sustainability. No, eradicating plastic is not the answer. The true, uncomfortable issue is that we have embraced a miracle material with a Bronze Age mindset. Take, make, and waste. Like the viral images that first sparked the panic, the plastic crisis is not the simple morality play we were sold. Plastic is not inherently evil. It is a revolutionary material that underpins modern civilization. The problem lies not in its existence, but in our linear economic model and our failure to design a circular system for its use. Innovation in material science and recycling technology is critical, but it is not enough. We must demand systemic change, laws that hold producers responsible for the entire life cycle of their products, investment in a robust and honest recycling infrastructure, and a fundamental rethinking of how we design, use, and value this remarkable substance. The real solution is not about choosing between plastic and the planet. It is about accepting that, like all of our most profound challenges, the issue is not black and white. It is a complex, interwoven system of trade-offs. If we genuinely want to solve it, we must abandon the simple, satisfying outrage and begin the difficult work of engaging with that complexity. That is where the real work begins.